Hey there, welcome to the second video of Cold Hearted Complaints Off Topic. So something you may not have noticed over it's almost 2 years I've been doing YouTube videos is that around this time of year I always cut my hair. The reason behind this is because in August I get my hair cut at the beginning of the Seahawks season, right? It's a tradition I've done ever since I was playing high school football. I'd get my hair cut at the beginning of the year and I wouldn't get it cut till the end of the year. It's kind of like it was for a practical reason at the time because of I needed to see out of my helmet, but it led to this thing like people have playoff beards, but I can't grow facial hair, so I'm like, playoff hair, let's just do that, you know? Because the Seahawks always make the playoffs, done it 5 years in a row this time. That's a good goddamn team, I'll tell you what right now. Now the reason I'm bringing this up is that if you didn't know, the Seahawks season has ended. They went to the Atlanta Falcons and lost, pretty soundly, honestly. This happened for a myriad of reasons that I want to get into, but first, I want to get rid of this. Now this may not look like much because I had my hair back in a beanie it's like this. It's like this. It's not like it's super crazy long, but look at this. This is ridiculous. I can't deal with that. It's too fucking, it's a mess, I tell you. It's a complete mess. So I'm gonna get a haircut, I'm gonna come back, and we're gonna do this video, okay? Ready, set, go. Ta-da! Look at that, brand new haircut. Nice short hair, easily manageable, great for me, I like it. I used to like long hair, this is a whole other thing. I used to like having long hair, but as I got older, I realized that this is a lot more manageable and my hair looks better up than like this bowl cut I had going on, but, you know, whatever. So, we are here today to talk about the Seattle Seahawks and their 2016-2017 season. Like everything else in 2016, it was kind of disappointing. Yeah, this was a season I felt was coming for a while. I'm going to talk about this from the perspective of a Seahawks fan talking to a person who is not a Seahawks fan. So if you're a hardcore fan and you know what I'm talking about, I'm sorry, I'm going to explain who Earl Thomas is. That's just what's going to happen, you know, whatever. So this season, the Seahawks went 10-5-1. We won the NFC West with ease this year, and that was kind of unexciting because the Arizona Cardinals, the new Los Angeles Rams, and the terrible San Francisco 49ers are all just bad teams. The most disappointing thing for all of it, I think, is that University of Oregon's former head coach Chip Kelly, who was the coach of the 49ers this year, got fired and his team wasn't very good at all. I was looking forward to having a rivalry with Chip Kelly. I like hating Chip Kelly. It's just a thing. I don't like him that much. So, our division was weak, but we still won it, so hey! A new banner up in the rafters. Love that. This was the year of offensive line issues and injuries. We start out the season. The first game, Russell Wilson gets someone stomped on his ankle. I knew, I had it in my soul that one of these seasons, Russell Wilson and Earl Thomas would get injured and miss significant time. And I was kind of right. Both of them got injured, but Russell Wilson never missed any time. I think he sat out one practice after tearing, he tore his pec. He had his ankle stomped on by Ndamukong Suh. That was painful looking. Oh my God. His ankle was like coming up like this, and the guy just stomps on it, you know? It looked bad. In that game and in those first few weeks, he looked really bad. He looked like he was hobbling around everywhere, like that was a clear issue for him. And then we played the 49ers in Seattle, and Russell Wilson's leg bended the wrong way. And that wasn't good, because that was clearly, very, very clearly a problem. You know, that stuff happened. He played through every game, though. He just obviously wasn't the Russell Wilson we all expected him to be. The magic wasn't really there this season. We'd have games where we went under and then we would stay under. We lost in blowouts. Like, we lost in a blowout to the Packers and a blowout to the Falcons, our last game, the playoff game. This team doesn't lose by double digits as long as it has been the Russell Wilson Seahawks. And, you know, they did. And that sucks. The biggest thing I dislike about this season, and it's a small thing, you're gonna know this thing was better for our playoff seeding, but we had a tie game against the Cardinals. Ties are the worst thing in football. There is nothing worse than a tie. Like, I get it. I get what it does for your record. You're better off than if you lost, but I, personally, would have preferred a loss. I don't like ties. I do not like them. I would have preferred a win, you know, but, like, cannot have a tie game. Well, I guess maybe I should make a few things clearer, because I feel like I'm not doing that. This is the first kind of video I've made like this, and I'm pretty sure most of my consistent audience has no fucking idea what I'm talking about, but I'm gonna try it anyway because, you know, I'm a fucking idiot, but whatever. So Earl Thomas got injured, right? And if you don't know who Earl Thomas is the free safety. He's the defender that sits furthest back in the Seahawks defense. On the field, you have the front lines that run up against each other. It's like, this is the defense, this is the offense. You have the lines that are against each other, the defensive lines, right? You have the linebackers, which are back here. The quarterback and like the running backs are back here behind the line. And then you have like the corners, who are typically like over here, like on this side or this side of the line, you know, with where the wide receivers are, for the other, mirroring the wide receivers typically, or a little further back if they think it's a run play. And all the way back here is where Earl Thomas sits, right? Because he watches over everything that happens, and once he sees a play developing, he runs in there with his lightning speed and he just blows a play up because he's a fucking monster, right? He's a machine, he's crazy, he's fast, he's explosive, he's one of the greatest free safeties to ever play the game of football. And he clearly was missed during this season because once he was gone, this was not the same defense at all. Now they also missed Cam Chancellor for a few games, and that was also very affecting. Cam Chancellor is kind of like the antithesis to Earl Thomas. He's not as fast, but he's bigger, he's taller, he's stronger. He sits up near the line more like a linebacker behind the second part of the line, and he bashes people who come up to him. He hits people harder than anyone else can hit a person. He smacks them, destroys them, steals their souls. He's insane. He's the greatest. But the way he plays the game kind of takes a toll on his body, obviously. So he hasn't played a full season in a few years, a couple years. I don't think he played a full season the past 2 years. I think he did in 2014, 2014. I think he played full seasons. But the past 2 seasons he hasn't because he's been injured, and that's just what happens. Anyway, our secondary, the Legion of Boom, which has historically been amazing, wasn't as good this year. And how can you expect to be when you don't have one of the greatest defensive players in NFL history? Okay, NFL history might be a little too much right now, but definitely in the NFL right now. He's one of the greatest defensive players out there. That's what I think the main problem with the defense is. The defensive line, these little guys right here, this little piggy right here, the interior of them, right in the knuckle, what hits into the knuckle of this line, right? This is how I'm going to explain football to people who don't understand football. If you think of it like a collapsing line, right? Like, let's say this is the football. Let's say this is the offensive line who is pass protecting, right? They have this nice little core right here where the linemen are, the 5 guys, maybe 6 if you have a tight end in or like a running back. We get pretty good pressure off the ends here, you know, coming out through here. Because we have Cliff Averill, Michael Bennett. Michael Bennett was also injured, but, you know, that's not as affecting as Earl Thomas being injured, but we'll get to that maybe never, but whatever. And then Frank Clark, who is the second-year player. Those guys get good pressure here, but a lot of the interior guys know that the people in the defensive front for the Seahawks, this part won't give them much of a push in the interior. They can, but they don't. If we improve that, like if we have a better all-around pass rush, not having to blitz and bring our linebackers in, take them out of coverage, dropping back into coverage to defend guys, and bringing them in to attack the quarterback. If we're able to keep them back in coverage and get pressure, that's a lot better, obviously. Obviously. But I would really look to getting a defensive interior line pressure going. Running backs. Let's go through running backs a bit. Running backs is tricky because we had Thomas Rawls, who is amazing. He has lightning fast speed. He runs like a goddamn animal. He was injured for most of the season, and he seems to have a history with injuries now because I haven't seen him play a full season. He didn't play a whole lot of games this time. We have CJ Prosise, a rookie who looked amazing also. Injuries as well. So we had basically our most consistent runner was Alex Collins, who was, I don't remember what round he was picked in. He's a rookie as well. He looked good at the end of the season. He looked really good at the end of the season, but at the beginning of the season, he could not get anything done. But he's more consistent than Christine Michael was because Christine Michael was the running back we started the season with. He was our running back we started the season with, who now plays with Green Bay because he was incredibly inconsistent. Like, he just couldn't stay, like, doing what he was doing. And I'm not an offensive line expert. That could have been on the offensive line more. It could have been on him more. I can't really tell. The team feels like it was probably him, obviously, because they let him go. So that is what it is. Also, during the middle of the season, I don't want anyone to forget this. We had CJ Spiller, right? And CJ Spiller If you don't know much about the NFL, C.J. Spiller played for the Buffalo Bills. He was an incredible running back for them. And then he went to the New Orleans Saints, was a pretty good running back for them. And then he came here, and he had a couple touchdowns in about 3-4 games he played with us. And then we let him go when he signed with a different team. I questioned that move. That's the one I questioned the most. Maybe it was chemistry. That's the only reason I can see they let him go, because he was producing really well. So I don't know why he's not here, but he's not. I think maybe they thought CJ Prosise would be able to get back, but health just wouldn't allow that. So it is what it is. All right, well, let's talk about what I want to see coming into the offseason, free agency and the draft. Obviously, offensive line. They need to do some more things with the offensive line. I'm actually not as pessimistic on the offensive line. Justin Britt, this was his third year playing with the Seahawks. He was our center this year. He used to be our right guard, our right tackle, and now he's the center. So he moved from here. There's 5 guys on the line, right? He moved from here to here to here. Whatever. He did an incredible job as the center. He did a fantastic job as center. Really nothing to complain about there. He did a great job. That's really encouraging to see. He's our center for the future. I'm very behind that. Good job. Jermaine Ifedi, our right guard, this position right here. Hold up the line. This little piggy right here. He's a rookie. He shows a lot of upside with the run game. Maybe not as much with the pass game, but with the run, I think he can do a lot. He obviously stepped on Russell Wilson's foot a week ago. Not the previous game, but so did the guy who replaced him. So I guess that's just a coaching thing, step on Russell's foot. I think if you give him time, he can show that he can be a little better. It's his rookie season. I'm not going to put a whole bunch into that. Let him work a little more. Garrett Gilliam, right tackle. I bring some tackles in. I think tackle is the area we need improvement in the most. Both the right tackle and the left tackle. That's the smallest finger, but left tackle is actually the most important position. But both the tackles I think we need improvement on, because I like Garrett Gilliam and George Fant. I cannot say enough how really good he was for how much experience he had. He was an undrafted free agent. Didn't draft him at all. Just picked him up out of college. I almost said high school. That's not right. He hasn't played any offensive line since middle school. Not left tackle, at least, I think. I don't know if he's ever played left tackle, actually, until he came to the NFL. And they're like, hey, you want to be a left tackle? Yeah, okay, here's a fucking helmet. Do it. Whatever. It didn't work out. Great. I mean, it was better than the guy we had there, which is Bradley Sowell, who we signed in the offseason to start there. Did not work out that way. Both tackles, I think Gary Gilliam shows a lot of upside. George Fant, maybe work with him more, but get someone to replace him in case it doesn't work out. Get someone to start over him. Like, get a real left tackle. And if George Fant beats him out, great for him. That's adversity. I love that. That's a great story. But get someone to try, because you need that. And then Mark Lewinsky. Mark Lewinsky is the guy I hear least about, which is, if you're an offensive lineman, that's a great job, Mark Lewinsky. I didn't hear about you much. You're doing great. Actually, I think he is a pretty goddamn consistent left guard. It's hard to tell with guards. Guards and centers are kind of, the interior line when you're judging an offensive line is kind of difficult, because tackles are on the outside of it. It's easier to tell when they make mistakes because the guy comes free around the edge. It's harder to tell with guards because of assignments and all that kind of stuff, and loopholes, all that complicated bullshit that happens with offensive linemen. So Mark Lewinsky, I didn't hear much about you. Great job. I'm going to go with him for the next season. So I think most people are really happy about Justin Britt and Mark Lewinsky. They're kind of wait and see on Jermaine Ifedi, our right guard. And the tackles, I think everyone agrees we need to figure out something. Because, just rolling with these guys in the future is not good enough. You're not set there. I haven't talked about wide receiver at all. Let's talk about wide receiver. Tyler Lockett got injured. I was at that game. When I saw him go down, I thought he had hit his head, so I thought it was a concussion. Apparently, he broke his leg in multiple places, and it was gruesome, and they kept showing it on TV, but I wasn't in front of a TV. They showed it on the big screen, but I was looking at his head because I thought, he bashed his head on the ground, It's like, is that a concussion? How bad did he hit it? But no, He broke his leg in multiple places. Then they didn't show the replay again after I found that out, so I didn't see it. And my recording at home didn't record, or I think I deleted it accidentally. Knowing me, I deleted it, but yeah, so that's unfortunate. Jermaine Kearse, he didn't have a great season. I'm not as rough on him as everyone else is, but they seem to call a lot of penalties on him. Jermaine Kearse has more offensive pass interference calls than most NFL teams do, like him by himself. That's ridiculous. That's really stupid, but whatever. Doug Baldwin. Doug Baldwin's one of my favorite players, period. Ever since I really became a hyper-focused fan of the Seahawks, I've loved Doug Baldwin because that was like a great story of a guy who wasn't drafted, came in here, worked his ass off, and he was incredible from the first moment he got here. He's a great wide receiver. Whenever I think of him, I think of Steve Largent a lot for some reason. I never saw Steve Largent play, so maybe I'm completely off. I don't know. He has that kind of feel to him of an underrated guy who's small, doesn't feel like he'd be great, but the way he jukes people is insane. He's a great player. I'm excited about seeing more Doug Baldwin, obviously, in the future. He's a great guy. And then past that, we have Paul Richardson. Paul Richardson really turned it on in the playoffs, had a few great catches. I was really high on Paul Richardson in his rookie year. Then he got injured against the Panthers that year, which was that was bad. That was a bad injury. I've been high on him since that. I mean, most people weren't. He didn't really get a chance with Tyler Lockett being there. But I think going into next year, he'll get a lot more chances, a lot more shots. So I'm excited about that. That's all I got really to say about wide receivers. Let's go to tight ends. Everyone loves good tight end talk. Nice, firm tight ends. I think this is the last position group we're going to talk about. Because linebacker core and defensive, I've already talked about the D. The linebackers are great. Let's go straight to the tight ends. Jimmy Graham, tight end. He is never targeted enough for anybody. He looks incredible whenever we do, but we don't. Obviously, everyone wants him to get the ball more. I wouldn't argue with that, but, here's where we are. We are where we are. He does a great job whenever he gets the ball. He's a great player. Looking forward, maybe we don't keep him going forward, and I would understand that because there's only so many people you can pay, and, we have other glaring needs we need, and we don't use Jimmy Graham like he really should be used. I wouldn't be opposed to him not being here, but I would love seeing him play for my team because he's an incredible guy to watch. The way he just grabs the ball with like one hand, those are some great catches. He's an incredible player. No disrespect to Jimmy Graham, but they have issues and they don't pass it to him enough. That's not his fault. Luke Wilson, the Canadian wonder. He is a free agent this year. Unrestricted free agent, so he can sign with any team, doesn't have to come back to the Seahawks. They probably won't sign him is what I'm getting a reading off of, because they want they got two rookies tight ends from the previous season, Brandon Williams, who played a lot as a special teamer and as a blocker, and then Nick Vannett, who is supposed to be more of a blocking, catching tight end, who's supposed to What I heard about him coming out of the offseason was that he was going to be great, he was going to catch all these balls, he was going to be wonderful. And, he was inactive for almost every game. He was injured, then inactive, and, just never saw him. I think he had, 2 catches. That's not enough for me to get a good reading on him, so I don't know what to say. What else I got to talk about? Fullback. We have Marcel Reese at the end of the year. Re-signed Marcel Reese. He worked great. I like him. He seems to catch the ball really well. He had a few really clutch plays, so I like him. He's younger. I think he's a better option than Tukuafu, who seems like he's a big, bulky guy. Tukuafu's this big guy, right? And he's huge. But I think Marcel Reese has more speed and can read it better. I think he's more useful overall because throwing a ball to Tukuafu is not a good idea. Throwing a ball to Marcel Reese, that's a great idea. Okay, briefly touch on quarterback. Russell Wilson is great. If he's healthy, then he's going to be wonderful. Get an offensive line for him. Don't do that to Russell. He has done nothing to deserve having a bad offensive line. That's all I got to say on that. I think I've really gotten the flow of this near the end of it. I think as I got doing this, I think I got more into the flow of doing this kind of episode. This is fun. I like doing this. So I think I'm going to be doing... I have thought about doing this for a while. I might make a cold-hearted complaints off topic about the Mariners when their season starts. Be like, hey, here's what I think of the starting lineup, I plan on doing that because, that sounds like fun. And then I'll do a recap at the end of the year. I'll do a preseason recap for the Seahawks and a postseason recap for the Seahawks next year. Bookend my 2 favorite team seasons because It'll be interesting to see where my thoughts were at the beginning of the season to where they were at the end. It's always weird how your thoughts and feelings change because after game 1, everyone's thoughts changed on this season. Don't lie. Once Russell got injured, everyone knew this season was going to be... That just is what it is. Thank you for watching this. If you want to see more of this content, let me know. Tell me what you guys think. Tell me about how your team did. If you have an NFL team you did that did well or bad, tell me how that went. I don't know. Yeah. Thank you for showing up here. Gotta rush out the end of this, but thank you again. Have a nice day. Goodbye.
We've been doing this for so long, and yet it's come to this. We feel you've been treating us wrong, yet you sit there and insist.